Okay, hello everybody, apologies, everything seems to be running late today. So this morning's session ran a little bit late, but thanks to everybody for coming. My name is Kathryn and I'm the course director for the BA in Journalism and New Media programme here in UL. Delighted to have you all here this afternoon, and especially happy to welcome back some of our BA and MA journalism graduates. Today is a very proud day for everybody working in journalism here in UL. We celebrate our 10th anniversary. I think this morning, despite the coup, we got a really we got a close-up view of what it's like to work as a journalist, and I suppose for the journalists who were here on the panel waiting to respond to what Fergal Keane was expected to say. As Mary McGann said, they had to think on their feet and the show had to go on. And I think we still all were lucky to enjoy a very interesting discussion, and I certainly enjoyed it, and I think we got a lot from it. So the purpose of this afternoon session is to celebrate some of the great success stories of some of our journalism graduates. I'm delighted to say that a lot of our graduates from the journalism programme, both the BA and the MA, have been successful in securing employment on graduation, which at the end of the day is what we're looking to achieve. I know even some of you sitting here, like Evie will be starting a paid internship in June. I know Mark Boylan will be looking forward to working in a racing post. So these, Mark's case, the co-op was a great opportunity for him. So I think we're going to hear a lot about that and the connection, and I think again this morning we heard from our speaker about how important it is when we're studying journalism. If there's anybody here from second year or our first year, it's very important for us to be getting experience, and I'm always banging on about this, but I really do believe in it, to try and build that portfolio while you're at college. So I'm delighted to welcome Denise Calnan, who works in the news editor in Irish Independent, Michelle Hogan from the Leinster Express, Cillian Sherlock from RTE, Hilary McGann is working for CNN, and Andrew Roberts, who's working with the Journal. So just to begin, maybe I might start closest to me, Denise. You were one of our first graduates from the very first cohort of graduates, so before my time here. But maybe could you talk us through, maybe Denise, since you graduated, what you've been doing, but I'm also interested as well in hearing if you were doing any work experience while at college, and maybe where you did your co-op.
So I started here in UL in 2008, and we were like the guinea pigs of the BA Journalism and New Media. I studied politics and Spanish as my two minors, and I actually didn't go to a newsroom. Shock for my co-op, I went to Mexico to teach English. So I knew that it was going to be important to have that experience. So I'm from Cork, and I had organised to go to the Evening Echo for 3 months to get that newsroom experience on top of having fun in Mexico and teaching English as a foreign language. I freelanced for the Evening Echo when I was in college. My first article was published in the April of first year, and I wrote about that chef, he's a famous chef, I can't think of his name now, but he was starting this RTE show. It was all about like grow it yourself and allotments and stuff, so I spoke to him, Richard Carrigan, and had a feature in the Evening Echo, and from then on I kind of might have not been published, like you don't have to be published every week, like you can be published every 2-3 months, but at least I was keeping in touch with the Evening Echo. And then when I left college, it was 2012, so things were really grim. In 2008, obviously in September, there was the Lehman Brothers crash, and we spent the whole 4 years in college listening to how we were never going to get jobs. So when I left in 2012, I went to the Irish Examiner, and I worked there for 6 weeks unpaid. So that's kind of what you did, to be honest, like you just got your foot in the door anywhere. I'd been a feature writer, but that's the first step I took into news. So that was one of the points I wanted to make today. Like, I know the gang said it earlier, but not to pigeonhole yourself. Like, I didn't have an opportunity to be a features writer. That's an absolute luxury in journalism, to be honest. So I went into the newsroom in the Irish Examiner. And then a friend from college was working with Maximum Media in Dublin, and she said there's paid internships going, so I moved up to Dublin in the July and did a year with Her.ie. It was just a startup company at the time, and it was kind of more like celebrity news, and I wanted to get back into news. So then I got a job at the Irish Independent in July 2013, and then in March 2014 3 years ago, so March 2016, I was promoted to news editor for the website Independent.ie. So I suppose the points that I wanted to make today, I was thinking after I had a chat with Mary about coming down, I was kind of like thinking of 3 kind of elements that I wanted to just point out, or that I wanted to emphasise, that I may not have actually realised when I was in college, when I was sitting, there, like learning journalism and you're in lectures and you're trying to grasp what it is. I suppose the first thing really was, I didn't realise at the time how valuable the people in my class were going to be to me when I left college, and you actually don't realise it for another few years. But one of the girls that I was in class with here, she got me the job in Dublin, and then likewise there was people in my class that I recommended for jobs in the Independent. So the contacts we make in the class right now, you might be sick of each other because you're looking at each other every day for the last 4 years, but they are actually so valuable when you go out into the industry. And even like when Cillian and Sherlock came to work with us 2 years ago, like I saw University of Limerick on his CV and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk to this guy, because we get so many DCU people that send in CVs. It was just lovely and refreshing to have kind of a shared experience with someone, even though we didn't know each other when we were in college, we felt like we had that. One of the friends that you make outside of your course, if you have any contacts, I still use them all the time. Like if I'm doing a story or a project on, maybe something that I'm not an expert on, I have no problem picking up the phone and asking someone who studied psychology, like, so how would you explain this? Or, the people, like, or I might know someone who went into teaching and I'm like, oh, I need a case study, I'm going to ring this person and he can ask one of his pals. Like, so the people that you make friends with and the people you meet in college, you might realise it for a couple of years when you leave, but they're actually invaluable. Yeah.
Great. I know all of you sitting here, well, I didn't teach Denise, but one thing I always say to students is your contacts book. It might not be a physical book, but the first thing you need to do is get the phone number of the person sitting beside you in college, because Denise is absolutely right. You don't know where your colleagues are going to end up. And Michelle and Cillian, you both graduated the same year. Cillian is in RT, Michelle is in the Leinster Express. So we'll come back to you in a minute, Denise, about your new role. Michelle, will you talk us through, I worked quite closely with you on Limerick Voice, you were editor of Limerick Voice while you were here. Can you talk to us about your job at the Leinster and also what you were doing during college, which you think helped you prepare for your new career?
Okay, so same as Denise, when I was coming, I was like, what am I going to talk about? So there's a couple of things that I did during the time I was in studying 4 years that kind of led to me getting the job, that I didn't even realise at the time I was doing that, So in second year, there was an opening for the editor of Unbuckle, which I went ahead and did. Didn't know what I was doing, but it was an amazing experience, and I got some newspaper experience that early on in college, which was great. And then my co-op was really, really, really good. It was very organic learning on the ground. It was with I Love Limerick, with Richard Lynch in Limerick City. And it was my first time to really, have to walk out on the street, walk up to someone and say, can I talk to you about something? And I did that every single day for I think it was 9 months I did my experience there, and it was really, really brilliant. And that's something I do now all the time. And with Richard Lynch, he had a column in Limerick Leader that we got to get bylines in. So while it was a website, we had that kind of foot in the door as well of the feeling of getting a print byline, which then kind of, when I came back into work here, I had the confidence then to kind of put myself forward for a kind of editorial role for Limerick Voice, which obviously happened then, and it was great, and it was really tough. I think every fourth year that comes through would say Limerick Voice was a very tough experience, but it's brilliant. Yeah, it is brilliant, and those 3 things really, Unbuckle, my co-op, and Limerick Voice, all led to me creating contacts to get a job in a newspaper. They were all kind of newspaper-related jobs, which coming into first year I didn't know that's what I wanted to do. Some people know they want to be news presenters, some people know they want to be on radio. I wasn't really sure, I was quite open to see what I wanted, and I think it's very natural now that I work in a newspaper. There's a huge element of it too that is online, and I do think the course prepared me. I think my job is very multimedia journalist, that's how I see it. I create videos, I'm on the ground and talking to people. I don't just talk to them for newspaper and take notes. I also say, can I get a video of me saying that as well? 30-second clip. That goes on my website. Can I take a picture as well? Can I maybe get an audio soundbite, every element of it? Can I get a picture tweet? And I think there was preparation for that all the way through the course. We did all those things, and I did those things in co-op as well. So I felt when I left really prepared to take on the job in the Leinster Express, and I started about 2 weeks after we finished up here, and I'm still there 2 years later, so it's going great, yeah.
And as we heard this morning, and I know many of our colleagues, or my own colleagues from the Limerick who were here earlier, local media is just a fantastic learning ground for our students. Thanks, Michelle. We'll come back to you again. And Cillian, you graduated the same year as Michelle. You were one of 5 and 3 from UL Google fellowship recipients during your time here. And you've had a couple of jobs since graduation, and now congratulations again to say you're the new face of RT News Today. So how do you think your course here prepared you for that, and what advice would you have for our students?
Yeah, obviously when I was coming down here, I was thinking about the Google News Lab Fellowship. This was my first kind of job out of college. But I was thinking about my CV and what did I put down on my CV. And really my experience in the workforce and going out into interviews and subsequent interviews after the thing, I still had Limerick Voice on my CV, it wasn't paid or whatever, but I'm not ashamed to have that down. And even our secondary magazine or the website that I was editor of during my Erasmus, those are all on my CV. So, your experience starts way before you leave UL. I think it'd be very difficult to come out of the 4 years here with a master's without having something that you can point to in an interview. But yeah, my first, there was obviously a lot of support for us because it was the first time the fellowships were coming to Ireland. We got 3 of them myself. I went to Independent.ie, you went to the Journal, Andrew, and Jennifer Purcell, who's not here today, she went to the Irish Times. So that was great, but Denise doesn't know this, but I got the inside scoop that she had done foreign co-op teaching everything in Mexico, so I was sure to drop my co-op in Spain to kind of put her up to get the job. But so it's kind of funny to talk about how the course prepared you to go out into the work when it was at UL student to get me my first job. But that's part of the industry that we're in, it's about who you know. And you're in class, you've been in class with 30-odd people for the last 4 years, and I still call people about what's happening in Leash or send stuff on if I see stuff, or if there's someone I need to get in contact with in Limerick or whatever. You should know what your classmates are studying and what their interests are, because they're invaluable. Anyways, after the Indo, I went on to the Examiner digital desk, which also helped me with, because obviously there was that relationship with Hogan, who ran the kind of video competition, and I met him before, and he had seen some of my video work. And then I went to work for a data miner, who I think came down to talk to some of the people here. So that was quite an interesting job, but it wasn't for me, and I wanted to get back into journalism, and I always had an interest in broadcast media, even though Andrew told me today that he never imagined being on TV, which kind of hurts a bit, but that's fine. I was really looking to get that, but since I've left here 2 years ago, but I don't know how many conversations me and you've had since then, where I've asked you for advice. So it's not just what you learn here, it's an ongoing thing. Before I left here, many conversations with you and Fergal about what should happen next, and also kind of what my next step should be. But it's the group projects like the Limerick Voice, the Radio Day, TV News Day, those were the most valuable. That's when you guys go out to work, you'll look back on those days and say, this is where I really learned what to do. Sorry.
I wish our third years here on Erasmus were here next year. Always good PR for the boys in September. Thanks for that, Cillian. And Hilary, you again a very busy student when you were here. You won Journalist of the Year. You won a Live 95 FM Journalist Prize. You're now working for CNN. Tell us about that.
Well, it's very much a dream job, but it was, in hindsight, since Mary's asked, I think we've all collectively done a lot of reflecting on, how you get there, and you don't realise that it's a stepping stone to making. And for me, it was very much when I did journalism. You start first year as print, learning the kind of foundations. We said inverted pyramid. We were talking about that earlier. How often you do that, and they're given the right to apply, and differentiating between public interests and things like that. So that was a really heavy focus in the first year. But when it came to fourth year for me, I had Fergal as a lecturer, and we focus on broadcast. And for me, it was something that just clicked with me, and I thought, God, this is where I fit, and this is exactly what I want to do and focus on. And so then it was kind of just figuring out, how do I go about applying what I've learned and taking the steps to get there. So after graduating, I went straight up to Dublin and I did an internship with Vincent Brown for a month, and then with George Hutt. And I thought, if I can survive, it was kind of baptism by fire. And actually, I have to say, both of them were really, really nice, really encouraging, and full of advice. And then I applied for the News Today because the way they go through rotation, and I didn't get it. But we were offered a month internship in RT, and I just emailed and said, I stay for like as long as you want. I don't, just please keep me. And then all of a sudden, a general election was happening. And it just kind of, those opportunities you can't really plan for, they just come at the right time, I guess. So I stayed there until about April, then I worked in digital media. And then June 2016, obviously, was the Brexit referendum. And I thought about how I was so hooked on watching the news every day. And I thought, I need to find a way that I can get paid to do this, because it's becoming more of an obsession than a hobby. And so then I found my way in London, and I've been with CNN ever since. I'm technically a freelancer, but I've only ever worked there. I'm like an employee. Yes.
Can you tell me about your show reel, or tell the audience about the show reel you did for CNN? You did,
as long as you don't put it up on
I had a sneaky look at it. So just for anyone who isn't doing journalism, so our journalism students do journalism modules, and then they do an elective, so they can finish with journalism in Spanish, journalism in English, and this instance you did Spanish here.
Yeah, I did Spanish.
Yeah, so how did you use that, or did you use that when you were
Well, I basically found the email address of the boss of CNN, and I wrote to him, and I just had a CV very specific to the network. I just said, please respond to me, And so then I had a meeting in London with the two bosses there, and I kind of thought, if I get thrown a question that I don't really know the answer to, if they ask me about something that is, massive internationally, I just wanted to be kind of prepared. So I got a video done, basically explaining, step by step who I am, what I want to work in, what my interests are. And then I had this friend of mine from working in digital media who's a brilliant editor, and he basically put me behind a green screen and fake CNN instead. So I did one in English and one in Spanish. And then we edited together about a 2-minute video. So I was just trying to be the market is so flooded with people that are I really want to do this, please give me a chance. And you just have to think of, how can you make sure they don't kind of forget me? Because there are people that are, might know more about something. You're not the best, right? There's always people that are above you and beneath you, but you just have to try and figure a way to kind of stand out and stay in something.
Great. Well, we talk a lot in class about pitching and pitching stories and thinking about the organisation that you're pitching to. So we were talking at lunch about the Indo, or earlier we were talking about if you're pitching stories to different news desks. But I thought that was a really good example of how you thought about CNN and the international brand that it is, in terms of showing.
I got a foot in the door and I was holding on to the wall, so I was like, don't let me, please give me something. So yeah,
brilliant, great. Great, and finally, last but certainly not least, Andrew Roberts, who did our MA in Journalism programme. And again, just very quickly to remind everybody here, especially people who aren't in journalism, with great news on our MA in Journalism programme recently launched a new stream in sports journalism, and there's also going to be one in community journalism, so which will be coming on offer in September. So Andrew, one of our great success stories from our MA programme, again, as Cillian mentioned there, you were one of the Google Fellowship recipients, and you got some work with the journal, and I don't believe you've left.
No, yes, it come June, it'll be 2 years now, so, which is great. It was interesting because I didn't really have a background in journalism per se. It was more media and filmmaking and documentary making and those of that kind of nature. And kind of jumped into the MA, not having maybe some of those. I had to kind of learn all those skills some of you guys will be learning now in terms of starting from scratch, how to write a story and do all that kind of stuff. So I kind of felt like I was on the back foot coming in, but then learned everything I needed to know. And it kind of is really helpful when you've got teachers like yourself and stuff like that can kind of give you advice and kind of coach you through. Especially I'm from Melbourne, Australia originally, so I'm not from Ireland, so having to learn what's important to Irish people, not just in a political kind of landscape and who's who and that kind of stuff, but actually what matters to kind of everyday people. Because a lot of my, even though, because I mostly do video for the journal, and a lot of the time I'll be talking, we'll be talking about big issues like, say, the referendum, for a referendum and everything like that. But you'll be talking to kind of everyday people about those kind of things. For the most part, for me, or people that have a particular kind of stance and stuff like that. So kind of learning about the culture and kind of really kind of rushing headlong into it is kind of really important, I think. And I think I haven't obviously worked on a local level, but I imagine that's really important in that kind of groundwork. So I wouldn't discredit doing that kind of work. Not that anyone is, but it sounds like it's really helpful for later on. Because usually, I kind of lived all around the country, and obviously I'm based in Dublin and everything, but I've been to Cork and up north a couple of times and everything like that. And it's just really been kind of a bit of a whirlwind in that regard. I'm kind of glad that I had the MA and the things that I was taught there, especially doing the Limerick Voice, because I'd never even written a published article before in my whole entire life. So just having a look, and that was on my CV when I applied for the Google Fellowship, and that was the only journalism background I've ever done. And I've worked in community television or things of that nature before, so it kind of felt like I was just jumping in a little bit blind, but it kind of worked, and I've been there ever since. So it was very good.
And you travelled, you were in Uganda, was it?
Yes, so Chopra, every year or two they invite journalists from about 4 or 5 journalists from around Ireland to come with them to see some of the developmental projects that they've been doing or places that are of interest. So I got to go to Uganda and look at a mix of things, interviewing former child soldiers, looking at the Bidi refugee settlement, which is the largest refugee settlement in the world, at least it was at the time when I was there, and talking to a lot of people escaping from the conflict in South Sudan, but also talking about really, once again, localized issues, looking at women's rights around land, because it's still much a patriarchal kind of system over there. This whole idea of land being taken off them even though they have the right to it just because they're a woman kind of thing. And it can be a little bit, anytime you bring a camera, because I'm usually always shooting solo, I rarely have a reporter with me. I'm always kind of operating and chatting at the same time. And in Ireland, where I feel like a lot of people don't like to be interviewed on camera, and it felt like that way, especially the older people you get. You kind of have to really learn how to warm people up, and in Africa was even though they wanted to tell the story, it was like, why are you pointing this in my face and stuff like that. You kind of have to really learn how to engage with people on a human level before you can switch on the camera, or before you can switch on the recorder or anything like that.
Great. I'll open up to the floor now in a minute, but can I just ask all of you one question, I suppose? So you've clearly already got great CVs, and all of you did a lot of journalism work while you were at college. If there's anybody here who hasn't started on portfolio building yet, and they're thinking about maybe pitching a story to you, Denise, news editor in the Indo, or thinking about, as Hilary Bravely did, pitching something to CNN, what advice or tips can you give people in terms of, Andrew, I suppose referencing a bit there, you're parachuting into a story, or you mightn't necessarily know about something that's happening on your patch. So I might ring the news desk and say, would you like me to cover this, or any advice?
Brilliant. Any advice for somebody who's pitching a story?
Yeah, and
I think one word that comes to mind for me in a pitch would be concise. Like if it's going to take you, a few paragraphs to explain what you want to do. It's not that the people on the news desk don't want to hear. Like when I get emails through from students, I'm like, oh, brilliant, because I just said to the gang on the way over, like I know how much that would mean to me when I was in college, and I know online it doesn't have the it doesn't have the pressure of, like, obviously with the paper, they only have so many pages to fill. Whereas online, we have the luxury of publishing something if it's a good story. So it's like, why not email, But I think when you email, I would just email. I think it was Mark that said earlier, just, hi Denise,
you know, I get a lot of people who follow me on Twitter, and then I just say, yeah, just email me, and then they'll just say, I have this story X, Y, Z, and I'll just be like, amazing, you know. So I'm like, yeah, just send it through, and we can have a look through. The person at the news desk will always get back to you. Like, it'd be really rare for them to take a story and just never question anything in it. So like, don't be put off when someone sends back like 5 or 6, like, who said this, why did you get this? And then, I mean, that's just a good sign that that they want your story. So I think just confidence to email first of all, because we don't get a lot of people actually who want to cover like a general election. It'd be great if someone rang up and said, well, I'm in Limerick. We'd be like, brilliant, you know, like the more the merrier during an election. And I think just keep it concise.
Okay. Anybody got a question?
During page 9, would you say emails or even calling in probably different?
Yeah, actually, if I got a call, I know all I'm going to do is give you my email.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, that's a good point. If you call us the news desk, like we get a million calls a day, but it's always lovely to hear someone's voice. Like, I know people in UL don't have the luxury of being in Dublin, which I found was tough as well. But like, I do meet people for coffees and stuff. So if anyone's in Dublin, everyone's going to be hauled up for coffee together. But like, if you're ever in Dublin or you want to meet, like, that's the best. It's to just get yourself out there, have the confidence to just say, you know, my name is X, I'm in Dublin, can I meet you for 20 minutes? And then, you know, like, you have 2 or 3 stories to pitch, and it's only, you have absolutely nothing to lose, is what I think.
And of course, news desks in Dublin, national news organisations are looking for stories outside of the Tail.
Yeah, but that's because in work I'm always like, oh please, can we just report on things outside of Dublin? Like, I'm always like, this happened in Cork, and they're like, we don't care. And I'm like, oh come on, please. So like, the more stories from around the country, the better, definitely.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Yes, Emil?
Was there any point that you didn't want to be a journalist, and what changed, if so?
Who wants to take that?
I would just say, in terms of, Denise spoke about kind of the journalistic aspect to advice, right? But I would think it's important to say that the first year at university is wonderful in many respects, but very difficult. Because you're up against it, you're trying to break through, you're trying to be noticed, but you're also likely to be paid very poorly, work the hours other people don't want to work. And so I think for a lot of people, that's the year where you realise, is this actually what I want to do? You know, I mean, I'm sure everyone else can agree on that, but my experience was in university, I was getting €20 a day, I was trying to pay rent up there, starting at 6 a.m. on a Friday, getting a bus down to Limerick, doing the bulletins on 9 to 5. You're not going out, you know, and it's so worth it now. I do it 10 times over, but just to be kind to yourself, it's a journey, you know, and you're not going to get the job that you want straight away.
Yeah, I think we kind of have a confirmation bias here because we're kind of doing okay, like we've got good jobs, but like, I mean, there's other people in our course who aren't working in journalism, but there's other jobs out there that people have got from this, like they're working in PR, communications and all that kind of thing. Since leaving UL, I've been pretty comfortable with wanting to be a journalist and stuff, but there were times, and it's not to do with the course, but it's just, you know, the media landscape, and you hear about newspapers shutting down, you hear about ad revenue, and, you know, what's our subscriber model going to be, and it's like, people don't trust the media and all this kind of stuff. So it can be disheartening. I forgot where I was going with this. But yeah, I know where I was going with this. So you might come to something like this and you hear about other people doing well, and you hear about stuff that they've done that you haven't done, and you feel like you're starting on the back foot or something and you're up against it. But like, I spoke there about the jobs that I had, but I didn't tell you about the stuff that I went for and didn't get. Like, I went for stuff at the Irish Times, I went for stuff at RT before I ended up in RT, I went for 2 interviews, I flew over to London to CNN and they told me no. So like, you just got to put yourself out there. It can be disheartening, but if it's what you really want to do, and it's a great job once you get into it, I love it, telling stories, meeting new people every day. If it's what you really want to do, you've got to power through that. And there's a lot of bad news about, as I said, newspapers closing down. But there are jobs out there, and you will find them if it's what you really want to do.
And just to point in, sorry, Kathryn, what Hilary said there as well, like, it is true, like, you're never, like, everyone thinks that the minute you leave college you're going to get the job that, like, is your dream job, it impresses your parents, but it's cool enough for your friends. Like, it's like enough money for you to socialise and get a new car. Like,
I want that job.
yeah, like, that's not the reality. Like when I worked at Maximum Media, I was getting €500 a month. I know it was 2012, so like I know the economic climate was different, but like, yeah, I definitely thought like, oh, will I just go now and do teaching or something, like something, you know, stable. But then when you get the buzz and like when you just keep on going, you know, just keep at it, like Cillian said, every little move you make definitely contributes to the next move. The fact that I've worked in Maximum Media, nobody in Independent had, you know, met someone with digital skills before, so like that will contribute. Don't ever put yourself down. You might not be in your dream job this time in September or October, but like no doubt it will contribute to your next job without a doubt.
You spoke at lunchtime about the adrenaline buzz. Talk to me about that. I think with Hilary in particular, wasn't it the adrenaline?
It's just, we were saying, because Denise and I work on the news desk a lot, and basically, for me anyway, you'd have digital on one side and TV programming on the other side, and we're kind of the crux of the newsroom, and anything that people see coming in, like reports, for example, today, a clear example would be Sudan and Julian Assange. So people see this, everyone's screaming at you because they all want to get it out, they all want to push it out. And there's this adrenaline of the balance of saying, you know, back off, give me a second to do it, but also chasing that news and getting that alert out there, and then the buzz of 10 seconds later seeing, you know, snooner and breaking news, you know, and going into that. So there is a buzz in terms of when things are happening, and I think there's an excitement in the job. You know, you don't know day to day, hour to hour, what might break, you know, what might seem like kind of Monday, all of a sudden, you know, something massive happens, and you're kind of chasing that and trying to get it out there. The problem is, I suppose, more often than not, they're quite negative, tragic, sad stories that you're chasing. So it's, I wouldn't say excitement is the word, but you do kind of feel you've a role to play, and it's important story to get out there, and you know, you use that job to do as well. So.
Great. And Michelle, there are opportunities though in local media, and we heard this morning from Kevin about the Tullamore show and how this story about the sheep ended up in the news of the world. There are local media is something that our graduates can be looking at in terms of career opportunities.
Yeah, and just to get back to what you were saying about pitching, a huge thing I did that you encouraged me to do actually was to submit my FYP. The article I did that I didn't want to, I really didn't want to, but I just said here I'll do it, and that actually contributed to getting the job, because I had went to the local charity, homeless charity here in Dublin, and it was a local story to a point, so they carried that anyway, and I was only speaking with Emma recently, but as you said, it was definitely a factor. So if you have an FYP that you can submit, definitely submit it to someone somewhere, pitch it, you know. But yeah, there's definitely jobs in local media. Like, I didn't expect to get a job in local media, but you know, iconic newspapers that I work for, they are constantly becoming more multimedia and more digital and hiring young people big time all around the country to kind of go in. And it's not that it's a traditional newsroom, like you get a very, very traditional kind of coaching, and you're honing those writing and skills, and you know, you're working on that all the time. But they do want and they do need young people in those newsrooms to kind of integrate. It's great because you get to integrate the traditional with the very, very new, which I really enjoy. And I think it gives me a really broad foundation of kind of all those core skills. And I know it's not the most glamorous thing, like we're talking CNN here or TV, but for me, like, I'm here for the long game. Like, I want those core skills. I want to take this approach. Like, I'm 23 with 2 years of journalism experience, and like you were saying, like, the job's cool with your friends and good that your parents are happy for. It might not seem like the coolest job in the world, I know that, but it definitely, I have a great newsroom, I have a great news editor and editor who are really, really hardcore on the skills of facts and fact checking. And yes, we have a very breaking news element to our website, but never without double checking and checking again. You don't always, we were talking earlier, like, it's not about being first. For some places it's about being first, but you'd rather be second and have it correct a lot of the time, which is relevant, I think, for local and national breaking news, you know. And then just to point on adrenaline as well, I suppose the adrenaline comes from a different place in local media. It kind of comes when something you've worked really hard on or something that you've investigated for a long time, you get that break and you know it's going to be a front page story that week. It's a different kind of adrenaline because it's a little bit slower, but it's the front page, it's the scoop, it's the splash, and then it's in writing and it's in print, and you have that then.
But equally, you're living in the community and you're telling those people's stories, and it's important to them.
But I also I wouldn't think that one is better than the other because we all apply the exact same principles that you learn in university, whether it is local, national, international. So, you know what I mean? You still have those kind of core principles as a journalist that we'd be very similar on. You know what I mean? We'd approach a story the same way. So it doesn't, you know, there are all things that are.
I think Kevin was very optimistic this morning as well about your generation in particular and the opportunity that you guys all have, especially our fourth years here, you know, heading into newsrooms in June, hopefully, and, you know, having these great technical skills that, and as Michelle said, you know, you'll see this marriage of old and new maybe coming together in newsrooms. Anybody got any other questions? Come on. Yeah?
I'm a visiting academic
John.
at the university. Could you tell us on reflection what was the most useful part of your course?
Thanks, John. Most useful part of your course.
I think the most useful part of my course was, I'm actually trying to I actually think the most useful part of my course was we started in 2008 with Mary and Tom Fell, and I think in UL there's like a real community feel, there's a great rapport between lecturers and students, there's great camaraderie between students themselves, and I think what helped me actually was there was always room for debate and discussion in the classroom, and nobody's opinion was, you know, scorned, everyone was listened to. And when you're in a busy newsroom, you need to have that confidence to put forward an idea, or when someone pitches an idea, you need to have the confidence to have the counter idea. So I think the fact that we had quite outspoken people in the class, and I wasn't actually one of them, to be honest, but like that, you know, kind of debate, discussion, like people, you know, having ideas, like I think that for me, that's probably the aspect of the 4 years that I can directly apply into my everyday life in work, the fact that I have the confidence to, you know, pitch ideas and discuss things and throw things around the room, and that for me would be most of enjoying it.
Anybody else want to ask that, Michelle?
Yeah, I'd just add on it. It's definitely the Limerick Voice or the Newsday or the Radio Day win. And I know you guys don't want me to say that the Limerick Voice is great because it's tough, just to say the least. But it's working with these people that you knew for years and might be friends with, might definitely not be friends with, and still happen to have a kind of professional kind of relationship with them and put something out. That was definitely the most valuable because you learn a lot about other people, but you learn a lot about yourself and how you can work and how you can get through things, and the real deadlines and all that kind of thing is really valuable. But that's what that's the closest thing to actually working in a newsroom is that you do when you're here studying journalism, is those projects.
Kind of concur with that in terms of the in terms of like the mixing item, it's probably working together with people, because you don't realise how important that is until you're in a really busy newsroom and it's a busy day and everyone really needs to be kind of on their game to get the kind of stuff going, and to be able to talk and chat things out. Like now we have in the journal, if there's like a big breaking story that isn't kind of straightforward, and there might be different ways to kind of tackle it, or how can we tackle this. Well, I think we'll have just a quick 5 to 10 minute standing meeting. We'll kind of, whoever's there will kind of stand up and then everyone will kind of throw in and chat about that particular story and how we can kind of cover it and how we can look at it. And it's really interesting when you have everyone wanting to work in the team and wanting it to be the best it can be, and how can we get the best coverage in this, how can we, what lines can we follow, what leads can we take. Because when everyone's kind of gelling together in that way. And I think you learn that from doing projects like Limerick Voice, from you going out there with another reporter or kind of hashing things out. I think that's really important, that ability to be able to, it doesn't mean everyone has to be friends or anything like that, but to be able to get on and do the job in that kind of group dynamic, I think is very important. It's something that I can learn. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. Hilary, you mentioned fourth year television. You did in Fergal, and that really making you realise this is where I want to be. But that news day, that TV day, did that help? And
we had Brian Dobson down as well.
Yes,
And in the run up to it, we Fergal had taken a couple of different stories and then said, write a script. And I thought, I've got this, the inverted pyramid, I know exactly what I'm doing. But TV was such a different beast that I didn't know. And I remember he just told me it was crap. But it was just, I just loved it. I loved broadcast. I loved the challenges in it. I know each different kind of platform in journalism, whether it's print, radio, TV, has its own challenges. I liked the challenge of, how you make something visual, especially a sensitive story, something where, sources tell the story in print. How do you bring that to life? The challenge of that. And so I loved it. And I was able to, we did a package, to do our own package towards the end of the fourth year, and I was able to do a story that, it was quite a tragic story about drug abuse in Limerick, and one particular person who was, and who was the drug addict, spoke to me. And so I just felt like it was really powerful, and I thought, God, if I had anywhere in the platform, to use those skills, it can be really kind of powerful and moving, I guess. So I loved it.
how important is it for the final year students and our MAs who will be finishing up this summer? How important is it for them to illustrate on their CVs that they have the multimedia skills, so that even if their heart is in written journalism, but that they're thinking visuals as well? Because I know Denise, video is driving so much traffic on the website.
Yeah, I think with the CVs, you can't underestimate how many of your skills you can write down. Like definitely the Limerick Voice, like even to write down, I completed a broadcast journalism class. Like we didn't complete that in my time here in UL. So like all these skills can be, you never know what the person reading your CV is thinking. You might think you're applying to work as, a news journalist, but like when you go through CVs, you think, oh my God, actually this person would be great. We need someone new for video, or we might need someone to do freelance at weekends, or we're looking for someone to contribute for this. So don't ever sure with your cover letter, obviously cater your cover letter to the person who's going to be reading it, because there's nothing worse than reading a cover letter and thinking, this person meant to send this to the other crowd on the other side of the living. So don't obviously keep your cover letter finessed to where you're applying, but I would have all that down on the CV. Honestly, you never know what the person reading your CV actually will be looking for really.
Great. Well, we're going to wrap it up now. I want to thank all of our guests for coming today. Really, really interesting to hear about all your wonderful success stories. I know we've learned a lot, and many of our students in fourth year and indeed second years. Thanks to Michael, the only second year not at race today, I think. And our first year, no. It's been really, really great. Just on that point about networking and your contacts, but today has been a great opportunity for that. So hint, don't let people leave without connecting with them. And I know Mary's seminar series every week as well. There's some great people here from industry on campus, which has provided, I know, all of our students, both existing and graduates, with opportunities. So thank you very much to everybody for today.
We knew race day was on, we're like, oh no.
Thanks for not going to race today. Okay, thank you. Thanks, guys.